Well, you should be a multi-millionaire, you should be a multi-billionaire, you should have 5 houses, 10 cars. Hello my honeys, welcome back to my channel all about self-love, positivity and mindset. In this video I'm going to talk about what is self-acceptance and why it is so important, so stay tuned. It is accepting yourself where you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, and accepting yourself fully and loving yourself unconditionally. Touching on the video I did before on self-love, you should definitely check that out as well. This is the idea that you need to fully accept yourself how you are now without being in the mindset of where you should be, what's missing, what's wrong. This is so important with your general happiness. You'll be in a state of not sabotaging yourself moving forward for your goals. When you're in a state of self-acceptance, you realize that yes, you could have a way to go with your goals, but it's about accepting yourself when you're alone. It's about accepting yourself when you're not at work, when you're not someone's sister, when you're not someone's brother, when you're not someone's mum, when you're not someone's best friend. It's accepting yourself whole and realizing that you are you. It's so easy to accept our good parts that might have a positive tendency, or yes, we stuck to a particular goal that particular day. What about the days when things don't go to plan? What about the days when you feel like you are not moving towards your goals? What about the days when you simply are just not in the mood? What about the days when you feel like you just want to give up? Those are the days that you need to accept as well, and understanding that you are you and you need to accept yourself either way. It's a hard pill to swallow actually, that we sometimes feel like we have to always be positive. I know this is something that I battle with, that there are days when I feel like not talking to anyone. There are days when I feel like I just want to be left alone, but understanding that we can't show up in a world like that, especially if we are a point of positivity for so many people or even ourselves. But it's also accepting yourself in those days and allowing yourself in those days to just be in your truest form, and it doesn't make you less you. The days I feel like I'm not so positive, or the days I feel like I'm not providing any value, or just have, thoughts that are maybe not my norm, or the days when I feel less motivated in general, and understanding that those are the days I find really, really hard to self-accept, feel like I have to be constantly moving. And another big thing is relaxing. I find that completely so hard to do. I should be reading a book, I should be doing something productive, I should be working towards my goal 24/7. And it's also accepting yourself on those days when you don't want to. That is so important for your general happiness. There are so many elements that make us who we are, and we can't also forget the elements that also add a different side to us. There is those days where we are less motivated and putting less pressure on ourselves. And again, going back to the self-love piece, when you fully accept yourself, it's understanding on those days, actually, I need to rest. And it's okay if I want to binge on YouTube or Netflix, albeit it wouldn't be all day every day, but you will of course have those days when you're not going to be 100% on it. So it's understanding that self-acceptance is also accepting yourself on days when you feel like you should be doing more,
because the pressure is real.
It is so real. We live in a world where data is even consumed so much quicker and in such a high pace that you automatically think that you should be doing more with your life. You should be another level. You should be a multi-millionaire, you should be a multi-billionaire, you should have 5 houses, 10 cars. It's understanding and being kind to yourself that you are where you are for a reason. You are working towards it, and everyone has their own timing and everyone will have their time. So understanding that self-acceptance is also accepting yourself for not being where you want to be. What messes our head up the most, I think, is idolizing and fantasizing of where you think you should be at this time of your life, when that is completely the most crippling thing you could actually do. It's fine if you see it as, okay, this is my goal and this is what I'm working towards, but constantly thinking, I'm not where I want to be, I'm nothing, oh, I'm this age and this is what I should have, or I should be having X amount of kids or be married, and all of these things that society may say that by a certain age you should have, or all your friends around you are having babies and you don't have a baby. It's understanding that you need to accept yourself for where you are now and not beat yourself up. You have your own timing, and that timing should not be accelerated by people around you. It should be on your own timing, hence accepting where you are now and having that self-acceptance to say, yes, I accept myself and I'm happy where I am now. A major thing to remember is that you are very, very different, and you're a separate entity to the possessions you have, your qualifications, your jobs, and your relationships. You are you, and that's who you are. We have this idea that we are connected to how much money we make, how we look, who our friends are, who our families are, and get into this notion that we have this rating system within social media, for example, that you can look at someone else's page and think, oh, well, I don't have that, or I didn't go on holiday here, or I didn't eat here, and really basing your value around that. And self-acceptance is really understanding that the essence of what makes you you are not your possessions, are not your surroundings, your environment. You are you. Understanding that that is the most important thing. You are not valued based on all of the things that I mentioned before. You are you, and you need to be happy within your own skin. To unconditionally self-accept yourself, and as you know, I would say unconditionally love yourself. You also realize when you begin to really accept yourself that the way that you view yourself is completely different. You will start to love yourself. You will start to look at your qualities. An exercise I would always say to do is actually take time to look in the mirror and look at yourself in such detail and realize who you are. Look at yourself in the eyes of someone you do love and realize that accepting yourself is such deep work that you end up not being tied by things that you've put your self-worth on before. And when that happens, watch the magic unfold. You're naturally going to be kinder to yourself. And when you start believing and realizing that you are you, and what makes you you is so unique and no one is like you or will ever be you, you realize that when you do go for your goals and dreams, go for what you want to do in life and realize what you want to achieve, you will do it in a way that you accept where you're starting from. You understand where you want to go, but you wouldn't put that pressure on yourself based on not accepting things that don't make you you. So self-accepting is understanding the positive qualities that you have, understanding maybe the qualities that you have that are not as desirable. You might lack motivation on things that would actually help you get to your goals, and realize that these things can be actually worked on. Once you give yourself that acceptance and that kindness and that love, you are one step away from making that first move to change your life, and then anything's possible. You're really the person behind it all. And when you look at yourself like that and you have that acceptance, the world just unfolds, and you realize that after all this time, all you had to do was accept yourself and love yourself and go forward for your dreams and potentially live the life that you've wanted, but without that self-sabotage or the negative self-talk that made you base your whole self-image on what other people wanted around you. And then you start basing it on how you feel, you know, what makes you feel alive, what makes you happy, and you really go for it. I've mentioned some really important factors there, but a really, really important factor is that you will actually stop looking for approval from other people and start looking within yourself. Going back to the mirror technique of actually looking in the mirror and understanding the uniqueness that you hold, that no one is you, and that is your superpower. Literally, no one is you, and accepting yourself for who you are with your flaws, your imperfections, and your perfections. There's so many things that are perfect about you, and I would say your imperfections make you perfect. You no longer look for acceptance from other people. You're accepting yourself whole. You're accepting every part of you. You're accepting that, yes, sometimes you don't smile. Sometimes you're not motivated. Sometimes you are motivated. Sometimes you really go for it. Sometimes you don't go for it. And it is what it is. Going on the lines of positivity as well doesn't mean that you are positive 100% of the time. It means that you have an outlook that is so for you that when you do go through something, it's understanding that when you look on the brighter side of it and look at what you potentially have learned from it, or why that is such a good thing that has happened, you naturally understand why things happen and why you have to go through things. We're all so unique. We all have very different experiences. But once you accept yourself and also accept the decisions you've made, especially past decisions that you might not be so proud of, you understand that that is ultimately what makes you you. And ultimately what makes you you is perfect, because no one is you, and you need to accept yourself for who you are. Otherwise, as well, how can you also go through life not accepting yourself and understanding the importance of it? Things will forever be swayed by other people's opinions, outside factors. If you don't have this notion of self-accepting yourself, when you're going through experiences, you're going to look through the lens that ultimately won't be through your own lens. And then you can end up going for a route that ultimately, if you accepted yourself, it would be easier to get through. I talk a lot about positivity and the idea of positivity and how amazing positivity is and the power of positivity. When it comes to self-acceptance, it can actually have sometimes a toxic trait, in that I've experienced it before, that because I naturally am quite positive and I like to look on the positive side and I like to have people around me more positive, is that when you are having down days or when you're not feeling so positive as you do, being human, we're not set on one function. We don't have a setting where it's like, oh, I'm going to be positive all the time. You are going to go through things. Not everything's going to go your way. You're going to go through trials, tribulations, and things that naturally you're not going to be positive with. Be careful of that. Within self-acceptance, you have to really embrace, and this is actually speaking to myself, with self-acceptance, one of the biggest things I have to embrace is that I'm not always positive. I would like to be positive 100% of the time, but I'm not a robot. I'd love to be positive all the time, and you know, everything is sunshine and flowers and rainbows and glitter and sparkle, but that is not the case. So the importance of self-acceptance, and why I really tried with self-acceptance, is also accepting the parts of myself that is not 100% positive. And this is so hard, especially when you are in a position where you are the main sort of positive person amongst family, friends, tend to really try and look on the positive side. It has been so hard for me to accept myself on days where I have felt completely unmotivated. I've had days where I'm mentally beating myself up. Yes, I have those days. I'm human. We all have those days. And the thing about personal development is learning how to have less of those days, but also learning how to harness those days, harness those thoughts, and also trying to replace those thoughts and trying to do things that are more positive. It's not about being 100% positive all the time, but when I didn't practice self-acceptance, those parts of myself were really hard to accept, almost as if like I'm a robot. I should be happy all the time and everyone around me expects me to be happy. I'm the type of person that if I am having a down day, or if I'm not feeling as chatty or talkative or positive, you know, I tend to just keep myself to myself. I tend to just be a bit silent, or yeah, if I don't get enough sleep or if I'm tired, I just tend to be a bit more quiet, a bit more like, let me reserve my energy. Even though I am an energizer bunny, like, let me reserve my energy and not say anything, or just keep myself to myself, or curl up in a ball, go to sleep. The self-acceptance part is something I've had to majorly work on myself. And this is to tell you that you can get through it as well. And again, yeah, I'm not 100% perfect, so I've still not accepted myself all the time on those days. But because I practice more self-acceptance, if I am having a day like that, I've created things around me that would pick up my mood, or do things that really inhabit self-love, self-care, take a time out, rest. I think a lot of the times my body tells me when I am not feeling 100% is that I just need to rest.
Girl, you're doing too much.
I need to rest, relax. So it's also accepting myself and allowing myself, giving myself permission to have my down days. That is a big thing for me, and I want you to know that you need to also give yourself permission to not be perfect. Perfection is this idea that you have to cross your T's, you have to dot your I's, that you have to be 100% presentable, you have to be 100% on it all the time, and that puts so much pressure on yourself. So the importance of self-acceptance is allowing yourself permission to not be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. How about that? There's no such thing as perfect. Perfect is you doing the right thing for you. Perfect is self-love, self-acceptance. That's what's perfect. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've got value from this video, and if this video resonated with you, click that like button like you've never clicked that like button before. You know what's how it is. And please subscribe for more videos like this. And if you have any video ideas, please let me know. And yes, remember, self-acceptance is key. Mwah.